From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon. Here is your news headlines and sports headlines. I'm Kobe Smith. BC is launching a hotline this spring to refer victims who have experienced racially motivated attacks to counseling and other support services. Premier David Eby made the announcement yesterday and said no one in BC should be targeted because of the war in the Middle East. The province will also be launching a program at the end of the month. This gives a $10,000 grants to place worship, culture community centers, and other organizations while working with at-risk groups. The Vancouver City Council has removed the minimum parking requirement for new developments in the West and Broadway plan areas, effective on January 1st. In a statement, the Mayor, Ken Sim, says eliminating parking requirements for new buildings is key for speeding up the development process. The city has said the areas were chosen since most daily needs are within an easy walk, bike, or transit trip. Ryan Reynolds is the newest member of the Order of British Columbia. The Vancouver-born actor and producer have received the honor from Premier David Eby and Lieutenant Governor Janet Austin at a private ceremony yesterday in Vancouver. Officials say scheduling the conflict means that he won't be attending the ceremony later today in Victoria. More than a dozen other recipients of what is considered the province's highest honor. A BCIT student has a solution for people looking for affordable meals around the Lower Mainland. Our reporter Caitlin No has more on the story.
Budget Eats is the site students can use when looking for affordable places to dine out. Run Huang made the site to help others find good and affordable restaurant options.
I think it'll help students for sure, and like I'm a student myself, I use that tool myself too, but it also, like especially in this economy, we still want to dine out, but just maybe at a cheaper price.
Giovanna Cattusi, the BCIT Food Pantry Wellness and Advocacy Manager, says the pantry has helped over 3,000 students so far this year. Cattusi says the housing crisis and cost of living are factors impacting students, and Huang says he will continue to grow his site so that more people can find Budget Eats. Caitlin O, 1680 The Crow.
The Vancouver International Airport has said the $3.5 million investment by the federal and provincial governments will go towards improving the main terminal's building performance and to reduce its overall emissions. The airport has said the improvements will include switching from natural gas to electronically for domestic water heating. Police in Abbotsford are warning the public of a rise of the so-called grandparent scam. Authorities say frauders are posing as lawyers and calling seniors, saying a family member is either in jail and needs bail money, or has been in an accident and needs to pay for damages. The police said it has happened in February and November this year. They have received 9 grandparent scams. 5 of those cases have resulted in a total losses of more than $24,000. Sorting the garbage in Pacific bins can be confusing because you might not know what to put in the bins. Jerison Oroshan has more on the story.
According to City Councilor Daryl Penner, the city currently has a 65% diversion rate of disposing waste, and there should be more action to encourage residents to put certain waste in the correct bin. Penner explains the benefits of sorting waste correctly at a City Council meeting on October 16th.
The city is highlighting resources available to help residents and businesses to reduce contamination in its blue carts by sorting waste properly rather than wish cycling or guessing where these items would go.
The city's website has a sorter available to find out which items are put in which bins. For example, a greasy pizza box will be put in the green bin instead of the blue bin. Jerison Rochon, 1680, The Crow.
And we have Jerison live in the booth with us. What are the risks of putting items in the wrong bin?
Well, putting a specific item in the wrong bin can kind of make it hard for various people that work in the waste facilities to kind of find that garbage, and also like somehow it could also pollute other parts of the ecosystems that could be impacted, especially on microplastics.
And how do you use the sort for sorting on the city's website?
Well, you go to the sorted rights page on the City of Port Coquitlam's website. You put in the item you want to put in, and it will show which bin you can actually put that specific item in to actually have a green holiday. Back to you.
Thanks, Jerison. A Burnaby North-profit that provides community service for immigrants, seniors, and families is asking the city for more space. Our reporter Caitlin No has the story.
Burnaby Neighborhood House is making a plea to the city for a larger space for their North Burnaby Center. CEO Antonia Beck says they are out of room and need more space to accommodate the food hub service they provide for families in need. The nonprofit is hoping for a minimum 5,000 square foot space that is owned by the city instead of a private landlord. Currently, the organization's South House location is in a city-owned building, allowing for more services and a 50% grant towards their lease. Beck says with more space, they will be able to provide more services to bring together different cultures in the community. Caitlin O, 1680 The Crow.
Now, your sports headlines. There was 2 Canadian teams hitting the ice last night, but the one that all the fans were waiting for last night was the Vancouver Canucks taking on the New York Islanders as Bo Horvat returned back to Vancouver for the first time since being traded to the Islanders in January 2023. As the game started, people were wondering if Bo Horvat would receive boos or cheering during the game. When he first touched the puck, he received boos. But after that, there was a video tribute for Horvat, and the fans were cheering for him as he got a bit emotional during that tribute. Horvat played for the Canucks for 9 years. It was a bit of rocky start for Demko and the Canucks as the Islanders got 2 power play goals early into the first period. Pierre Engel got the first goal and Brock Nelson scored the second goal, giving the Islanders a 2-goal lead heading into the second period. JT Miller scored early in the second, but just 4 minutes later, Bo Horvat scored on his former team, giving the Islanders a 3-1 lead. The Canucks were able to bounce back and force overtime, and Quinn Hughes got the winning goal. Final score was 4-3 Canucks. Here is the call on Hughes' winning goal.
Hughes passes to center for JT Miller. Miller at his own line, scoops it ahead. Hughes has a breakaway. In alone. He shoots. He scores!
Canucks will be heading to Calgary to take on the Flames tonight at 6 p.m. Also, the Edmonton Oilers were facing the Seattle Kraken last night. The Oilers were looking for their 3rd straight win. Connor McDavid scored the first to give the Oilers 1-0 lead, but after that, the Kraken scored 3 straight goals. Then Evander Kane scored 2 goals in the third to tie the game and got into overtime. Here is the call on Kane's winning goal.
To Bouchard, he's going to skate to the middle. He'll fake the shot to Hyman, to Kane, scores! Hat-trick goal! Game winner! Oilers win it 4-3!
The Ottawa Senators will hit the ice tonight as they take on the Detroit Red Wings in the first of this week's NHL Global Series games. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Minnesota Wild will also see action this week in Stockholm. The Toronto Raptors hit the court to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. The Raptors had a slow start, only scoring 21 points in the first quarter, as Milwaukee started off strong and never looked back as Damian Lillard was hot from the three-point land. Here is the call when Lillard hit a 3 to give the Bucks 80-51 lead.
77-51. Bucks still out in front comfortably, though, leading by 26 points. Lillard, long 3, straight on, and he buries it from about 8 steps behind the arc.
Milwaukee went on to win 128-112. The Raptors are looking to bounce back tomorrow as they face the red-hot Boston Celtics. The Oakland Athletics will be moving to Las Vegas after it has been approved by MLB owners. A 75% vote of the 30 teams was necessary to make the vote. The decision comes about 6 months after the A's received a tentative agreement for a new stadium in Las Vegas, after being unable to reach a deal for one in Oakland. The Montreal Alouettes and Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been continuing their preparations for Sunday's Grey Cup in Hamilton. The Blue Bombers finished atop of the West Division with 14 wins and 4 losses and will play in their 4th straight Grey Cup game. The Alouettes ranked second in the East Division with 11-7 record, but they are riding a 7-game winning streak into the CFL's Grey Cup final game. The kickoff for the Grey Cup will begin at 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Sunday. This afternoon, it will be sunny and cloudy with a high of 8 degrees, and later into the evening, it will be a low of 2 degrees. And for Friday, it will be sunny with a high of 11 degrees, and heading into the night, bundle up because it will drop down to 2 degrees. And heading into the weekend, there is a 50% chance of rain on Saturday. And on Sunday, it will be cloudy with a high of 9 degrees and a low of 2 degrees heading into the evening. Thanks for listening. Kobe Smith, 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet and see.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
This is 1680 The Crow, and you're listening to our feature presentation.
Well, another Halloween season has come and gone. As usual, it's time for spooky activities like carving pumpkins or trick-or-treating, traditions that have stayed relatively the same for over 100 years.
Costumes are another popular part of Halloween celebrations, but it's one of the few aspects of the holiday that have progressively changed over time, not only because of what might be trending that year, but also because costume cultural appropriation awareness has given us an understanding that some costumes need to be taken off the table completely. But sometimes the line between culture appropriation and culture appreciation can be fine and foggy. Hi, I'm Aaliyah Andres.
And I'm Caitlin No, and we're your hosts for the Culture and Costumes Navigating Boundaries podcast. And today we're diving into what makes or breaks a Halloween costume that portrays a different culture and how they've evolved over the decades. So let's start with how dressing as different cultures for Halloween began. The act of dressing in Halloween costumes in North America has been around for more than 100 years, and if people chose to dress up as a different culture, it was parts of traditions that had been stolen, stereotyped, or inaccurately represented.
Vivian Gosselin, who is the director of exhibitions and collections at the Museum of Vancouver, has seen many traditional costumes and belongings throughout her career, and says the Halloween costumes would always be made up of the same stereotypical depictions of a certain culture, because that's what society understood them to look like.
If you're copying or trying to represent a culture you don't know, you'll have to go with the lowest common denominator, right? Because very caricatured. It can't be subtle because people won't know, because we don't know those cultures. It's always going to be the same kind of reductive elements because people are like, oh yeah, they're trying to do the, the Sarah, princess, because we don't have a lot of references. When we start looking at the sourcing, how it came in to live in museum collections, we know that some pieces have been stolen. It was really about historically marginalized communities that on top of that didn't even have the agency of talking about their own stories.
But as time went on and costumes labeled Native American, Gypsy, or Egyptian that were formerly popular in shops started to be taken down, it became clear that the aim wasn't to represent traditional culture, but to use its stereotypes for profit.
Part of the discussion was it's not okay in gift shops, for example, to sell, Pocahontas costumes. We just told you who we are. This is like Disney that's trying to, create more merch and sending stuff without context. The idea that you can extract natural resources and cultural resource from all over the world, it's okay as long as you can sell it. And I think the costume is kind of in stores like that for sale. It's just one of those manifestations.
Aaliyah and I went to the streets of downtown Vancouver to see if we could find any costumes portraying other cultures. While most costumes we saw were popular movie characters, pop culture references, ghouls, or comedy related, we did find a few people dressed up in attire from cultures they didn't know a lot about.
It's Halloween night on Granville and Smythe Street in Vancouver, where there are crowds of people in costumes.
We are wearing a Sheikh's costume. It's called Twab. It's called Twab.
Do you know what culture it's from?
It's from Arab religion, I guess.
Okay. Is that your guys' culture?
No.
No? Okay.
No, we're just we respect all religions and we're just part of the festival.
So why did you pick this costume?
It was a last minute one. On Saturday, I was a witch, and then it was a costume that I was supposed to wear today, but I didn't have my hat.
What is your makeup of? What are you supposed to be?
It's sugar flower.
Sugar flower.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's from
Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Dia de los Muertos, I believe.
Yeah. Do you know much about it, or was it kind of just
Sorry. Yeah. It's more random. Yeah, to come, but I don't know. Yeah.
As we just heard, one person we talked to in downtown was wearing a costume of what she called a sugar flower. This is part of Mexican culture that is derived from the Day of the Dead celebration. we asked Lily Carvalho, the executive director of the Vancouver Latin American Cultural Center, about if it's ever appropriate to dress up as another culture as a Halloween costume.
That's a tough one. I think that, of course, everything is in the intention you put on it, but because you are out there in your costume, people will know if you are celebrating or mocking. And so that's why we should be careful. Your intention won't be clear when you choose your costume. So you really should, think twice.
So from what Lily just mentioned about thinking twice about a certain costume, that seems to be sticking with people. Owner Maureen Q from Disguise the Limit Costume Rentals in Victoria says the interest in costumes from different cultures have considerably gone down in popularity.
Absolutely renting less or none. People are unsure or they're just not comfortable not knowing if it's appropriate or not. So they just don't. So wouldn't be doing, any tiger lilies. Aladdin still, there's certain costumes that people don't associate necessarily with a culture. They associate with a childhood love of a character. So yeah, I think it's great that the conversations are happening, but definitely people are staying away from any ones that have a strong cultural reference that is not their own.
I think it was something probably every little kid has done at some point growing up, where they'll want to dress up as a character like Disney's Jasmine or another character from a beloved movie or person from history. But Aaliyah and I were having this discussion when researching for this project about if we should be giving a pass to children when it comes to character costumes from different cultures. This is what Vivian and Lily had to say.
I think it's okay not to have those costumes as a choice. You can be, a plumber, like a princess, but it doesn't have to be that specific person from that specific place. If Pocahontas is not okay, I think it's not okay without understanding more context. I know it sounds maybe a little, it may seem a bit harsh in some ways, but I think there are different ways of exposing kids to different cultures. I think at one point it will go. I'm pretty sure people will start looking into it and say, there's so many other costume ideas. Like, people lack imagination. There's just so much stuff we can do, right? That's not about representing people we don't know.
Like, I cringe when I think that I dress as an indigenous person when I was a little kid back in Brazil, which was considered totally fine. And now there is a new, better developed thought around that you shouldn't do that.
So, what conclusions have we come to after talking to different experts and researching this topic? Can we definitively say what kinds of cultural costumes are okay and the ones that are not?
It seems to be a couple of things in combination, but I think Lily does a really great job at summing it up with this quote.
You should do your own homework, and so try to learn more about other cultures. Be on the safe side of things and dress like a couple of friends of mine dress as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That won't have any cultural problem. And so if you can be creative in a way that you're not going to be risking offending someone, why not?
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us for Culture and Costumes Navigating Boundaries. My name is Caitlin No.
And I'm Aaliyah Andres. Look out for more episodes created by our students at BCIT Journalism and 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Trettanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Hello and welcome back to 1680 The Crow. I'm Abby Francis, and here's your 1230 news. RCMP and Kelowna are praising 2 members of the K-9 unit. This comes after the arrest of a break-and-enter suspect who had an outstanding warrants in Mission, Abbotsford, and the Ridge Meadows area. Police say they had been called to a home this morning during early hours because of a break-and-enter report. A vehicle search on the scene resulted in a seizure of weapons, drugs, and a replica gun. RCMP say a constable and K-9 duo tracked through the trees, mud, and soot for almost 3 hours. The 2 had eventually found the suspect hiding over a kilometer away. Christmas tree sellers of the Lower Mainland are warning the public of a widespread shortage on evergreens. The shortage is partially due to the ongoing climate crisis, meaning hotter summers and longer droughts. Operations manager at Evergrow Christmas Trees, Ben DeGroot, says currently they have lots of trees but are expecting to sell out before December. He says the supply is 30% down in the region, and he has heard from some folks that they have started shipping in Christmas trees from Ontario, Quebec, and the U.S. Sorting garbage in specific bins can be confusing, and our reporter, Jarrison Orishin, explains the City of Port Coquitlam's new campaign to dispose garbage properly.
According to City Councillor Daryl Penner, the city currently has a 65% diversion rate of disposing waste, and there should be more action to encourage residents to put certain waste in the correct bin. Penner explains the benefits of sorting waste correctly at a City Council meeting on October 16th.
The city is highlighting resources available to help residents and businesses to reduce contamination in its blue carts by sorting waste properly rather than wish cycling or guessing where these items would go.
The city's website has a sorter available to find out which items are put in which bins. For example, a greasy pizza box will be put in the green bin instead of the blue bin. Jerison Rochon, 1680, The Crow.
A Burnaby nonprofit that provides community services for immigrants, seniors, and families is asking the city for more space. Our reporter Caitlin No has the story.
Burnaby Neighborhood House is making a plea to the city for a larger space for their North Burnaby Center. CEO Antonia Beck says they are out of room and need more space to accommodate the food hub service they provide for families in need. The nonprofit is hoping for a minimum 5,000 square foot space that is owned by the city instead of a private landlord. Currently, the organization's South House location is in a city-owned building, allowing for more services and a 50% grant towards their lease. Beck says with more space, they will be able to provide more services to bring together different cultures in the community. Caitlin O, 1680 The Crow.
Saskatchewan's City of Regina has received over 700 nominations for the competition and findings of the city's official bird. The Bird Friendly City Committee says the current top contenders are the black-capped chickadee, Canada goose, gray partridge, peregrine falcon, and the red-breasted nuthatch. The voting is set to take place in between November 30th and December 10th. Then the official winner will be announced. In other birding news, comedian John Oliver's campaign for New Zealand's Puteke Teke bird has paid off. The bird, also known as a great crested grabe, won the country's Bird of the Year and Bird of the Century competition yesterday. Oliver had announced his campaign for the bird on an episode of his show a couple weeks ago. The competition is run by Forest and Bird, a conservation group in New Zealand, and is held yearly. In international news, a city in Iceland has lava building up underneath of it. An Iceland meteorology office says a volcanic eruption is imminent. ABC reporter James Longman is in Iceland and with more on the situation.
There's been massive seismic activity in the southwest of the country where the volcano is. Thousands of earthquakes have been felt, some as far as here in Reykjavik. The focus is on a small town of Grindavik. There is a 9-mile river of lava passing right underneath it.
The meteorology office says police have decided to evacuate the city of Grindavik because of the recent seismic activity that's moved south of the town. Thanks for listening to 1680 The Crow. That was your 12:30 p.m. news. I'm Abby Francis. Have a great day.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.